Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you again so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take a quick look here again at Bitcoin, see what's going on. Boy, quite the turn of events here. All these bullish confirming factors and the price just dumps overnight as soon as the Asian market opens. So I guess it's kind of teaching us a lesson, right? Last couple times Asian markets have opened, that's somewhere between 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we've seen a pretty significant and aggressive dump here. So history repeats itself. We probably see the same thing again as soon as the market is slightly recovered. So the best thing to really kind of pay attention to in situations like this is the macro trend, which we are still bearish, been very clear about that. However, trying to catch these breakouts that aren't happening. So again, for the most part, the best thing to do in situations like this is be patient and obviously just wait for confirmation if you're more long biased. If you're considering shorts, perhaps now's the time. We're going to double check and see if that is the case. I don't like trying to short the bottom because it does feel like we've swept a majority of liquidation here to the downside, at least the more short-term liquidation here. Any late longs got kind of pretty much hammered here. And the general consensus is down. So there's no other way around it. Price should continue lower, but we got to presume it will until it doesn't. Okay. So again, unfortunately, bull pennants and any type of bullish type of patterns. We saw an inverse head and shoulder recently. Didn't work out. A lot of things are kind of not panning out the way that they should based on, well, just the market that we're in right now. It's a very unique and tumultuous market. So the key takeaway here is to be, I would say, patient, and let's see if we can find some better opportunities. We're going to look here at Bitcoin first. Quick little here, double check on the liquidation levels. Again, that was another incentive potential there. We got a lot of liquidation, somewhere in the range of about 10 to 15 billion at 60,000. So while it might not seem, it pales in comparison now to this lower range because we're closer to it, but we were much closer to 60,000 yesterday, which is where you can see, again, good 10 to 15 billion liquidation at 60K. So now 60,000 is that potential resistance level for us. It has been for a short while, but it hasn't really proven in the past to be a strong resistance or support. The price just blazes through 60,000 any normal time. But with us getting more liquidation at that level, it tells me that we might have more incentive to push the price action higher, or at least the whales would effectively have that incentive. And that's half the reason why taking that trade yesterday seemed to make a lot of sense. We had a lot of confirming factors on smaller time frames, a nice pattern, liquidation the upside, and it all just got foiled as soon as the Asian markets opened. So again, that does happen a lot, folks. Unfortunately, the market right now is very tumultuous. So please take take this with a grain of salt. Unfortunately, technical analysis has been very challenging and difficult lately, and it's just kind of the par for the course right now. So don't second guess it. It does still increase your odds of statistical probabilities of success, but hey, I've been very well shocked lately with the amount of just nonsense that the market's been handing us. Having said that, more liquidation on the upside in the more immediate last 7 days. However, macro is still screaming that 54, 53, even 52,000 could be a possibility for us. I do think we have a solid amount of support at the 55 to 56K range. I'll explain that here in a minute. But for the most part, we have the beginning of a double bottom pattern here. Now, we've looked at patterns in the past, and technically, if we look at our chart patterns here, the bullish pennant pattern we had from yesterday is a lower success rate, right? But as you continue to scroll up here, you can start to see that double bottoms have about an 80% success rate. So if this level holds at 56,000, we could very well see and potentially have a nice little pivot and a bounce from here. Okay, so again, a lot of these little things, most of the bullish type of patterns lately have not been playing out just because, again, the macro is still bearish, right? So until we break that macro trend, the general consensus here is that we'll be range bound in this descending type of channel. Okay, that's kind of where we're at there. So having said that, what's the daily time frame look like for us? Let me go ahead and clean up the charts a little bit. In fact, we'll go ahead and expand this a little further out, and I'll clean up our fibs here as well for our playout chart here shortly. So just know, future reference, if you're new to the channel, I have a Trading Academy community and signals group. Check that out if you'd like. Of course, I teach you how to become a better trader, more consistent. The market lately hasn't really been proving to shine bright on that regard. But the truth is, I have a Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. And this is where you can find our pennant patterns, of course, that don't actually play out sometimes. Again, it's just the way that goes, par for the course. Whole point of that is just to let you know that I have that available if you're curious. And if you're already aware of it, thank you again for liking the post. I really appreciate that too. So what we're looking at here on the daily, well, everything's absolutely bearish. Okay, there's zero consideration here, honestly, for a long, which I know sounds contradictory considering we just took one, but that was supposed to be a breakout trade that really truly didn't happen. It was a good momentum. A lot of reasons why it should have played out, but hasn't. Again, in fact, that strong doji candle closing yesterday, the hammer doji, that usually implies the bulls are in control. They absolutely were. As soon as the traditional trading day closed, though, they were nowhere to be found, right? Asia took complete control this morning as well. U.S. markets are pulling the price down to that 56K range. Having said that, though, if we look, there's nothing here really telling us that the price is going to recover. So if you take a long, it is technically a riskier long, and you're statistically more probable to find price action to the downside than the upside, right? I mean, as you can see by the market, shorting is probably the way to go in the overall sense. Do you want to short right now that we are potentially double bottoming? Definitely not. I don't like shorting the bottom. We lose the bottom, there's a different story there altogether. We could possibly see the price action continue lower. But having said that, we've pretty much plateaued here for the moment. Daily time frame still doesn't look good. There's no other way around it. 4-hour time frame, taking a peek here as well. Seeing a very similar scenario here. RSI is tapering off, price pulling back with it. MACD is starting to plateau, essentially, not going any lower, but also not really momentously telling us that we want to see that shift in momentum, or we will. Stochastic's also in a similar circumstance there, kind of letting us know that we may have potential for further downside. The money flow index is extremely low. That's generally a concerning factor. But as we get closer to 20 on the MFI, it's usually a bouncing point. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the price recover for a slight relief rally here soon. And those are oftentimes the dips that you may want to consider buying, as long as you watch it close. I never recommend swing trading a bottom like this, but if you're day trading, it's a different story altogether. Having said that, RSI is getting closer to 30. We may see a potential bounce here. As you could see previously, when we hit closer to 30, the price did recover. So we could very well see another scenario like that. Wouldn't be surprised the way the market is. As soon as everyone shifts their mentality to bearish sentiment, the price goes up. It's literally like you could probably apply and do the exact opposite of what you think is logical in the market right now, and it will work. It's a very, very chop salad is the term I like to use for it, because it's just nonsense. Like this really shouldn't be happening the way that a lot of the confirming factors are giving us on smaller time frames. Every time we get a small confirming factor, it instantly hits the L reset button. So it really just means we got to kind of default to the macro and make sure we understand that until we break above a specific key level, the price will probably continue lower. That's generally the consensus. But once more, we're getting close to this lower trend line here. It has proven to do pretty well and hold fairly well, minus a couple of outliers. So I wouldn't be surprised we see a slight relief rally here. But again, I wouldn't get super excited about it if it does. Almost everything has been a fake out. Okay, so it's hard to believe what's going on. Like this, Bitcoin is crying wolf a lot, right? Every time you hear it's the old town crier. We're breaking bullish. Everything's confirming bullish, and then just goes straight down, right? So it's best to kind of presume that we're going to continue lower until we don't. I guess that's the right mindset. As much as I don't love it, it's just kind of part of the course. While I definitely like that my spot bags are getting filled, I really don't like, obviously, just the price action. It's been very, very difficult to trade. There's no other way around it. Again, been trading for over 20 years, and I can tell you this year has been a lot more challenging than usual. And ever since big money got involved, it's become kind of a shit show. I hate to use terms like that. I rarely swear, but I can tell you what, that's a really good way to represent the current market. Okay, so last thing but not least here. This is kind of just the obvious proof in the pudding here. Lagging spans free and clear. Conversion lines below the baseline. We're well below the cloud. Generally construed as a very, very bearish sign. Okay, there's no other way around it. So there's minus the fact that we should probably take a long now because everything's telling us we should go short. That's kind of like that inverse theory, I guess you could say. There's nothing here really telling us that it's really a good consideration for a long. I think you know that by now, but if we zoom out a little bit too, just kind of clarify a couple of support ranges and resistance ranges, we can see here too that 59,000 is that resistance range. In fact, when I set out my long trade for yesterday, our profit target was 58.9, right? Just below that key resistance level that has proven recently to hold strong. Ideally, the price should have flagged out and essentially continued higher to retest that level. But obviously we saw what happened. The whole point of that is that we got a lot of resistance here at 59K, so if we do happen to make a rally back up to that range, just know there's some resistance you want to consider securing profits before then. Secondary to that, if we look at the local range here, we kind of zoom in, just say, within the last 2 or 3 trading days, we can see our local point of control is at 56,700. So it would be extremely important for us to close at 56.7 today or higher to be able to kind of prove that the bulls have some anticipation or some attempt to try to hold support. Okay, that's kind of where we're at there. Other than that, what I'll do is I'll post our playout chart on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord as per usual. Just know that's available for you there. And then really quick, just to touch on the macro here, as far as support levels are concerned, we do see a pretty solid support at about 54K. That is this local bottom, basically. We haven't seen a candlestick closure below 54,000 on the daily ever, I guess at all since obviously, what was that? That's August 3rd. So it's been about a month since we've retested that range. Either way, that's been the all-time lowest ever since we've been in this range from February till now. Okay, so really just implies that 54K is that next logical support level for us. You could also argue that 56,000 is also that. It's kind of where we're at right now because we saw a daily candlestick closure here as well. Again, I'll clean up our charts here and I'll send this out on our social media platforms, but I do appreciate you watching nonetheless. Thanks again so much. Don't forget to hit the like button. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.